Wait, don't spend that penny yet. One tiny detail on an ordinary 1-cent coin could turn pocket change into the kind of fine collectors dream about every day. Most people would not call the 1960D Lincoln cent dangerous. They would see the date, spot the D mint mark, and think the case is already closed before the investigation even starts. Because this coin does not hide behind mystery. It hides behind overconfidence. But coin collecting is full of mistakes made by people who think a big mintage means there is nothing worth hunting. That is the trap here. Because the real story of the 1960D penny is not that every example is rare. It is that this date has enough known varieties and enough visual confusion to trick careless collectors into walking right past an important coin. And before we go any further, let's make one thing very clear. And that is why this coin matters. Not because every 1960D is treasure, but because the wrong 1960D can sit in front of you looking ordinary while carrying a clue most people were never trained to see. So do not start with Lincoln's face. Start with the date. This is one of those years where the date itself can become the whole crime scene. The 1960D cent exists in large date and small date forms, and PCGS also recognizes the famous 1960D/D small/large date variety. That means if you are not comparing the shape and spacing of the numbers carefully, you are not really checking the coin. You are just looking at it. Study the 1, the 9, the 6, and the final 0 slowly. Does the date look compact or more open? Do you see odd thickness, shadowing, or a doubled appearance that looks built into the coin rather than scraped onto it later? This is where beginners get trapped. They hear small date, large date, or small over large. Then they start seeing variety everywhere. But a real variety is not wishful thinking. It is a repeatable, visible difference in the design. Then move to the mint mark. The Denver D is not just a letter here. On some 1960D cents, it becomes the clue that changes the entire coin. Great Collections describes the recognized FS502 re-punched mint mark as a secondary D set high to the north and slightly west of the main D. So high that it nearly touches the 9 in the date. That is not damage. That is not imagination. That is the kind of detail that turns a common cent into a variety hunters still search for. Now look at Lincoln himself. Do not admire the portrait. Investigate it. Check the hairline, forehead, cheek, jaw, and coat. Search for raised lines, die cracks, strange bumps, or surface behavior that seems part of the strike. A scratch cuts into the coin. A die crack rises above it. That difference sounds small, but it saves collectors from bad decisions every day. Then flip the coin and slow down again. The Lincoln Memorial reverse on these cents can look so familiar that people stop studying it. That is a mistake. Look at 1 cent, United States of America, the memorial columns, and the fields around the design. If one area looks too weak while the rest stays sharp, or if the lettering behaves strangely, do not shrug and move on. On a coin like this, one tiny inconsistency can be the entire reason it deserves a second look. And then do the smartest thing of all. Weigh it. A genuine 1960D bronze cent should weigh 3.11 grams. If your coin comes in heavier or lighter than it should, stop and compare it more carefully. Weight alone does not make a coin valuable, but weight combined with visual oddities can point to something much more serious than a normal circulation piece. And here is the mistake that ruins more good coins than bad luck ever does. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not polish it. Do not try to bring out the detail. Because the moment you start improving the coin, you may be destroying the very surfaces that prove it was worth checking in the first place. So if you find a 1960D Lincoln cent that looks even slightly wrong, handle it by the edge, photograph the date and mint mark clearly, record the weight, and compare it against verified examples of the normal large date, the small date, and the known D/D varieties. Because this first coin teaches the exact lesson your video needs to open with. The most dangerous penny is not always the one that looks rare. Sometimes it is the one that looks common enough to stop you from asking the next question. And the second coin in this video gets even more interesting, because that one won't just test your eye for detail. It will test whether you know where to look before everyone else does. Don't trust this penny too fast. The 1963D Lincoln cent is the kind of coin that plays a mean trick on collectors. Not because it looks dramatic, not because it screams rare, but because it looks so normal that most people stop checking before the real search even begins. And that is exactly why this is such a strong second coin for your 3-coin video. The first coin warned viewers that a common penny can hide something serious. But this one changes the game. This one is not really about age. It is not really about hype. It is about one dangerous mistake. Thinking a high mintage coin cannot surprise you. On paper, the 1963D cent looks like a coin nobody should lose sleep over. It was struck in Denver, made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighs 3.11 grams, measures 19.00 millimeters, has a plain edge, and had a massive mintage of 1,774,020,400 pieces. Great Collections also shows that ordinary 1963D red cents have sold across a very wide range depending on grade, from only a few dollars up to $14,625 in its archive. In other words, the normal coin is common, but exceptional quality can still pull real money. Now here is the part that matters. A normal 1963D penny is not automatically a $72,000 to $132,000 coin. The public auction data that is easy to verify is far below that. PCGS shows the famous 1963D DDO FS 101 with an auction record of about $202, and Great Collections shows a realized price of about $203.62 for a certified example of that same recognized double die variety. So if someone is talking about six-figure territory, that would require something way beyond an ordinary 1963D, and likely beyond the standard listed varieties too. It would need a truly extraordinary error, a freak condition rarity, or some other exceptional authenticated situation. And that is what makes this penny so deceptive. Because once collectors hear 1963D, many of them relax. That is when the smart collector does the opposite. The first thing you check is the date. Not the whole coin. Not Lincoln's face. Not the color. The date. Because the best known real variety on this coin lives right there. Great Collections describes the 1963D DDO001 FS 101 as the strongest Class 8 double die in the Lincoln series, with the spread concentrated on the last digit of the date and minor doubling on "In God We Trust." That means this is one of those coins where a person can be staring right at the clue and still miss it if they are not slowing down enough. So study that final 3 hard. Look for thickness that does not belong. Look for a doubled outline that feels raised, not flat. Look for extra separation that looks part of the strike itself. And then move upward into "In God We Trust." If the doubling feels real there too, even if it is lighter than the date, you stop treating the coin like pocket change and start treating it like evidence. That is the rare bucks lesson right there. The coin that looks safe is often the coin that steals the most attention once you know the clue. Now turn to the mint mark. A lot of viewers hear error penny and instantly begin hunting for wild-looking damage, crooked metal, smashed rims, or anything strange enough to feel expensive. That is not how good finds usually work. Good finds often begin with something far more disciplined: the right date, the right area, the right kind of doubling, and the patience to compare before celebrating. Then you go to Lincoln's portrait. Check the forehead. Check the cheek. Check the jawline. Check the coat and the fields around the bust. A scratch cuts into the coin. A die crack rises above it. If you remember nothing else from this coin, remember that. Because collectors lose good coins in 2 ways. They ignore something real, or they get excited over damage. Then flip the coin. The Lincoln Memorial reverse is so familiar that most people barely inspect it. That is a mistake. Look at 1 cent, United States of America, and the memorial itself. If one section is strangely weak while the rest stays sharp, or if the lettering behaves differently from the nearby design, do not shrug and move on. On a coin like this, one small inconsistency can be the difference between just another cent and "hold on, I need to compare this." And then comes the smartest move in the whole hunt. Weigh it. A genuine bronze 1963D cent should come in around 3.11 grams. That is your baseline. If the coin feels off and the scale confirms it is off, do not ignore that. Weight alone does not make a coin rare. But weight plus strange visuals plus the right detail in the date, that is when a common coin stops behaving like a common coin. And here comes the mistake that ruins more promising pennies than bad luck ever will. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not polish it. Do not try to bring out the error. Because this second coin teaches a very different lesson from the first one. The first coin warned you not to underestimate a common-looking penny. But the 1963D warns you about something even more dangerous. Never let a huge mintage make you lazy. And trust me, the third coin in this video gets even nastier, because that one won't just ask whether you can spot the clue. It will ask whether you can spot it before everyone else thinks they already did. This tiny penny has a secret, and most collectors never look in the right place. The 1961D Lincoln cent is the kind of coin that creates a dangerous situation for collectors. Because at first glance, it looks like millions of other pennies. Same Lincoln portrait. Same familiar design. Same copper color. Nothing about it screams rare. But that is exactly why this coin deserves attention. This is the third and final coin of this 3-coin video set, and the story changes here. The first 2 coins taught you how to slow down and look for hidden details. But the 1961D Lincoln cent asks a different question. Can you recognize a valuable clue when the coin looks completely ordinary? The 1961D Lincoln cent was produced at the Denver Mint with a huge mintage of 1,753,266,700 coins. It is a bronze Lincoln cent made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with a weight of 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19 millimeters, and a plain edge. Those numbers tell us something important. The normal version was not rare simply because of its production numbers. The real interest comes from varieties, errors, condition, and unusual examples. And this is where many people make their biggest mistake. They see the word million or a huge price claim online and assume every 1961D penny is valuable. That is not how serious collecting works. A regular 1961D cent is not automatically a $43,000 to $115,000 coin. Public auction records for common and recognized varieties are much lower. For example, PCGS lists a regular 1961D red example with an auction record around $4,406, while recognized varieties such as the D/Horizon DFS 501 are tracked separately because collectors care about those specific differences. This means a 6-figure value would require something far beyond a normal example, a truly extraordinary error, extreme rarity, or exceptional authenticated condition. So what makes this penny interesting? The answer is simple. Small details. Start with the mintmark area. One of the recognized varieties connected with the 1961D cent is the D/Horizon DFS 501, where the mintmark shows a repunched characteristic. This is exactly the kind of detail that separates a normal coin from a collector variety. It is not something you discover by looking at the coin from across the room. You need magnification, patience, and comparison with verified examples. Now move to the date. Look closely at the numbers. The 1, the 9, the 6, and the final 1 should all look consistent. If you notice unusual thickness, separation, extra lines, or a doubled appearance, do not immediately assume it is damage. A true double die can show clear separation and raised secondary details, while machine doubling usually appears flatter and less dramatic. This is where many beginners lose valuable coins. They either ignore a real feature, or they get excited over something that happened after the coin left the mint. The difference is understanding the surface. A scratch cuts into the coin. A die issue is part of the coin's creation. Next, inspect Lincoln's portrait. Look at the hair, forehead, eye, cheek, and jaw. Search for unusual doubling, die cracks, or raised marks that seem to flow naturally with the design. A coin error is not just something that looks strange. It has to make sense as something that could happen during the minting process. Then flip the coin. The memorial reverse deserves the same attention. Check the columns, lettering, and open fields around the design. Weak strikes, die deterioration, and circulation damage can create confusing appearances. The goal is not to find something unusual. The goal is to find something unusual that belongs there. And now comes one of the smartest tests every collector should perform. Check the weight. A normal 1961D Lincoln cent should weigh about 3.11 grams. If your coin is heavier or lighter, do not ignore it. A major difference could point toward an unusual planchet situation or another problem. But weight alone is not enough. Always compare it with the coin's diameter, color, thickness, and overall design. Also pay attention to the coin's surface. A beautiful original copper color, strong details, and minimal marks can make a huge difference in collector interest. But never try to improve the appearance yourself. Do not polish it. Do not clean it. Do not rub away the history. A clean coin can lose the very qualities collectors value. If you discover a suspicious 1961 D Lincoln cent, keep it safe, photograph the date and mint mark, measure the weight, and compare it carefully with known examples. Because this final coin leaves the strongest lesson of the entire video. Rare coins are not always hidden because they look different. Sometimes they are hidden because they look exactly like everything else. And that is why the smartest collectors do not just look at coins. They investigate them.